Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to replace the battery and the trackpad on this 2019 MacBook Pro. This is a 16-inch model A2141. Alright, so what we're going to need is a Pentalobe 1.2 or P5 screwdriver. You'll also need a T3 or Torx 3 and a T5 Torx 5 screwdriver. Alright, some other tools that will be good to have is a thin flexible pry tool like this. We're going to use this to scrape out and cut through the adhesive on the battery. We'll need a plastic scraping tool. This is a plastic razor blade, and we'll use that to help remove the adhesive residue. And then I'm going to use some popsicle sticks. You can use cut up credit cards or any like wooden pieces like this. Something you don't want it to be too thick, but semi thick. You can also probably use toothpicks. Whatever works. Make sure it doesn't conduct electricity. Then we're gonna need some double stick tape because the battery replacement we got doesn't have double stick adhesive. We're gonna use some 91% rubbing alcohol and paper towel. And then one other thing that might be useful is a suction cup. I threw that somewhere. I don't know what I did with it, but I'm not going to use the suction cup because I don't need one. So, okay, let's go ahead and proceed. So let's start with the P5 or Pentalobe 1.2 screwdriver and remove all the screws from the bottom. You want to keep them in order because they are different size, shape, and lengths. The way I do that, I put them with the flat side down in the pattern I remove them on my desk. So we got the 2 here and then the 4 there. So I'll just take them out and put them in that pattern. All right. Okay, so we'll go ahead and remove all of these. If this video helps you, make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others. And if it helps you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps. Even $1 is greatly appreciated. All right, and we're going to continue with this repair. Okay, so if you're wondering, actually maybe not. Oh yeah, so even on the bottom here, I think the middle screws, these 2 screws might be different, but yeah. All right, so next thing, if you have a suction cup, it would be useful. You can put the suction cup here and pull this to create a slight gap here. What I do is I just use the air vent and I use my fingernail here, and then that's usually enough that I can lift it up and get my fingernail underneath. All right, just like this. Then I go to the side and then I push with my thumb down here, pull with this hand, and then I pull up with my fingers here. All right, so this requires fingernails. If you don't have fingernails, you can use plastic pry tools, but I find this works the easiest. All right, so just like that. All right, once you pop these 2 clips up, so you can see there's also clips in the middle, but those pop themselves once you pop those 2 sides usually. All right, so we're going to flip this over this way. What we're going to do, I'm going to get my hands in here. And again, the fingernails are useful because when I go here, if you don't have your fingernails, you can scrape your hand there. You don't want to get your hand in too close because then your fingers can get scraped. All right, so we're going to grab this like that. I'm going to wrap my hand over this way and use a finger here. And then what we're going to do is pull this panel down. All right, so pull it down. Might take a lot of force. Okay, just like that. Once you get this side down, the other side should come out a lot easier because now it's at an angle like that. If it doesn't come out easily, then you might have to do it the same way as the other side. So as you can see, let's see, sometimes it helps to kind of pull this one down a little bit further. Okay, and then let's go ahead and get this side. Wow, okay, the left side is still stuck, so we're gonna do it this way and do the same thing as before. Okay, usually once we get the other side, this side should come out easily. I don't know why this one was stuck so hard. There we go. All right, so we got the bottom cover off. This is the 3rd 2016, or not 2016, 16-inch 2019 MacBook battery I'm replacing. I don't know, one customer brought me 3 of them, so. All right, so we're gonna peel off this plastic piece here. Let me zoom in so you can kind of see. You just wanna peel it slowly, okay? You don't wanna pull it up too quick, otherwise the adhesive or the foam is just going to tear. So you want to peel it up slowly, just like that. All right, it doesn't matter if the foam gets stuck to the wrong side. Usually they'll stay attached to this, but it doesn't really matter because eventually you're just going to stick it back down. All right, let's set that aside. Now, first thing we're going to do is disconnect the battery. So to do that, we're going to have to get underneath this little plastic or this tape flap, whatever you want to call it, right? Peel that back, and then there's this little latch holding this connector down. Flip that latch up just like that. You can use plastic pry tools or whatever. I just use my fingernails. Then we can grab this and pull that cable out, right? Once you do that, you're going to do the same thing on the left side. Go ahead and peel this this plastic flap back, and then we're going to flip this latch up. Okay, just like that. Same thing, get under the cable. You want to grab as close to the cable where it's connected as possible. You don't want to try and pull from back here where it's springy like that, or you can damage that. All right, we'll set that piece aside. Okay, let me actually move this cover out of the way. Okay, now we're going to switch to the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. And to minimize switching between screwdrivers, I'm going to try and do all the T5 screws at the same time, okay? So, or most of them. Okay, so we're going to remove both these, but let's go ahead and remove this big one first, okay? All right, once you remove this is actually connecting the battery to the board as well as this little cable. So those both pieces are required for the battery to work. All right, so as you can see, this metal tab is still making contact. So what you gotta do, get underneath there and then lift it up slightly. All right, once you do that, as you can see, the metal tab is staying out of the way, just like that. All right, and then to be safe while working on this is actually quite important. Open up the screen and then press and hold the power button for 10 to 15 seconds. All right, this will prevent damage to the components as we go ahead and remove things. All right, so it's pretty important. Some people don't want to do it. I don't know why. It's not very difficult, but just do it. Trust me, it'll save you. If you don't do it, there's a very good chance you're gonna destroy your computer. Okay, so once we've done that, let's go ahead and remove the other screw for the battery here. Okay. Alright, I didn't mention, but you're also going to need scissors, of course, to cut the adhesive. If you got the battery with the adhesive on it, then you won't need the adhesive or the scissors. But anyways, there we go. Okay, so now let's go ahead and remove some more of these T5 or Torx 5 screws. Alright, we're going to remove the trackpad screws now. So there's 5 going this way, 5 going this way, and then there's 3 at the bottom. We're just going to remove all those screws. Okay. Again, keep all the screws in order because they are different size, shape, and lengths. Just put them in the pattern that you're removing them, and that should be really good. All right. That's the easiest way to keep track of all these screws. Okay. And just keep going across. Alright, and then let's remove the other 5 here. Alright, so when you remove the battery, you do want to remove the trackpad. If you don't remove the trackpad, there's a good chance you're going to damage the trackpad while trying to remove the battery. So you can remove the trackpad after just disconnecting the battery stuff here. So if you're just replacing the trackpad, you don't have to disconnect or pull out the battery, but you do want to disconnect the battery and then press and hold the power button. Okay, but if you're removing the battery, you want to take out the trackpad. That's part of the process. Okay, so let's continue removing these screws. Now we're going to remove the motherboard screws. This is only for the battery removal process. Okay, this is important because it will make it so we can remove the cable that's underneath the motherboard. So I'm going to show you how to do it without completely taking out the motherboard. We're basically just going to take out the screws that make it so that we can lift it just enough. All right, so there's 4 screws along here that are T5 or Torx 5. So let's go ahead and remove those 4. Again, I'm going to try and stick with the T5 until we run out. So depending how your screw is, you might have to move the antennas around to be able to get this screw out. Okay, and be careful not to damage those antenna wires. Okay. All right, so we got those 4 screws out. Next, there's 2 here, and then there's another one all the way over here. This one's a T3 or Torx 3 screw, so we're going to remove that afterwards. Let's go ahead and remove these 2. And then jump across to this one here. Okay, and now let's switch to the T3 or Torx 3 screwdriver. Okay. And then let's go ahead and remove this 1 screw here. All these little brackets that we're going to be removing are going to need the T3 screwdriver as well. There's one here in this corner, and then there's another one in this corner. So let's go ahead and remove those 2. Okay, now we're going to remove the connectors for the charge ports or USB-C ports. And then we're going to remove this connector here, which is, I believe, for the touchpad, or not the, the touch bar. All right, so let's go ahead and remove these for the charge port on this side. Okay, once you do that, we're going to lift this metal plate off. Okay, set that aside. All right, and then I'm going to get my fingernail under, well, I'll show that after. Let me remove all these screws first. Let's go ahead and remove this screw. This screw. And then take that metal plate off as well. Okay, there might be a foam that's making it stuck to the thing. Just slowly peel it up, okay? And then there's 2 screws holding this metal connector as well, or the metal cover. Okay, and take that metal cover off as well. All right, so now I'm going to zoom in and show you all the connectors. Oh, I almost missed one. Don't forget the 2 for the trackpad connector here. Move those 2 as well. All right, and take that metal plate off. Okay, next thing we're gonna do, we can actually take out the trackpad first. So let's go ahead and remove this connector. I use my fingernails under here, and then I pull up, and then the knuckle areas of my fingers actually push down on the motherboard while I'm doing that. All right, so just go ahead and pull it like this. You might have to kind of wiggle it a little bit to make it come up. If it doesn't come up, there we go. All right, then you want to slowly peel this up. Be careful, you want to grab below this cut area, because if you pull from here, there's a chance you'll rip this. So pull from down here, okay? I pinch it like this, and then I keep my finger over sideways like this, so that way when I peel it, it doesn't just yank that cable out, all right? So you can see this actually made like a bubble in the battery, and that usually tends to happen. I don't know if there's a way to prevent that, but slowly peeling it is the way to go. All right, so now let's go ahead and open up the MacBook a little bit. All right, and then lift this cable so that it can slowly fall through. You want to be very careful not to flip the MacBook over, because there are little washers on the trackpad. All right, now we're going to grab the trackpad and slide it over slightly to the right so that the cable can fall through. Okay, then we're going to slowly lift the trackpad out. You want to be very, very gentle with this. Okay. All right, let's close this. So on the trackpad itself, there's these little washers here. On each one, there's these little circle ones, and then on these corners, there's these double wide ones. I don't know if they're necessary, but you don't want to lose them and get them like falling in all this stuff, or you can actually short something out or damage something. So you want to very gently put it down. It helps to kind of put it down at like an angle at the edge of your desk, and then you can kind of like slide it inwards. All right. And that's to prevent it from, you don't want to, if you set it down too hard, the metal parts that they're on are springy. It's what allows it to do the vibration clicking. So if you set it down too hard, it's going to like spring those things out and launch those pieces everywhere. So you want to be very careful with that. Okay. So we got all the screws out. We got, now we're going to go ahead and remove all the connectors that I was talking about. Okay. So let me zoom in a bit to make this easier to see. Okay, so first thing, hopefully I can get them all close view. We're gonna disconnect the USB-C ports or the charge ports here. Okay, so just get underneath and flip that up. You wanna use like plastic pry tools or something that doesn't conduct electricity. All right, then we're gonna get underneath here. You also don't wanna use something that's too hard that it can easily break the things, okay? So we're gonna peel this up, and just like the battery connector, you wanna peel this off from the connector that's on the board. Once you do that, flip this tab up. All right, there's some adhesive holding this in, so I kind of get underneath with my fingernail, and then I also kind of use that to help pull that out, and there we go, it comes out like that. We're gonna peel this tab over here out as well, okay? And then once you get this tape up, okay, then we're gonna flip that latch. Right, once you flip that latch, we're going to remove this cable as well. Make sure the latch is flipped all the way. Okay, and then we're going to use that to pull that out just like that. Okay, now we're going to disconnect the speaker cable here. So let's go ahead and get under here. I don't know what all those connectors are. One we did remove was the fan. The other one I'm not too sure. So this one is for the speaker. Have to kind of wiggle and pull it. You might have to kind of move it around. There we go. All right, so again, of course, this is the fan connector here. I'm not sure what this is. I think it's a microphone connector. There's one on either side, but anyways, let's go ahead and remove this connector down here, which I believe is the keyboard connector. I haven't pulled the whole motherboard out of here, so I'm not 100% sure. I haven't looked underneath, but anyways, flip this tab up just like that, and then we can pull this connector out. This one's different. The other two I worked on, this was like pink, so it's kind of weird. Even though it's the same exact year, model, everything, I don't know, Apple likes to change things up. All right, so let's go ahead and peel this out. It could be the supplier doesn't have the same supply, so yeah. Okay, let's flip this latch up. So this is the other fan connector. Same thing, there's an adhesive under here, so I'm getting underneath with my fingernails, pulling it up slightly as I pull this back. All right, and there we go. The adhesive actually released itself. It's not really stuck to the board, but I can feel there's adhesive there. Okay, now let's slide over here. I might have to zoom out a bit because the stuff's in the way. We got the other speaker connector. Let's go ahead and peel that up. Okay, same thing, peel the plastic tape tab back, flip that latch up, and then peel this or pull this back. You kind of have to wiggle it or kind of lift it up and down. Right, we're gonna go ahead and flip this latch or this connector up, which I believe this one is for the touch bar. I think I mentioned that already. So just get underneath, and then again I'm using my knuckle to push down on the board while I pull up on the cable. Okay, just to get that out of the way. Then we're gonna undo this cable. I'm not too sure what this one is for, but it is held down with adhesive all the way along here. So I'm just using my fingernail to help kind of peel this up. You want to be very careful because if you crease these cables, you can damage them. Okay, so once you get all the adhesive up, let's go ahead and try and pull this out. I might have to go from both sides. You can use some thin tweezers or something, but I don't know. I like using my fingernails. They're free. I don't have to throw them away if they break, or I mean, I throw away my broken fingernails, but there's no like big tools that I need to toss. And then here's another connector I think is also the microphone, like I was saying, on either side. Peel that up. Same thing, flip that latch, and then we're going to pull that connector out, and then we're going to remove the last USB-C charge port connector there. Okay, there we go. So we got all the connectors out. Now we're going to scrape up the battery to remove it. Let me zoom out so you guys can see. I'll try and keep it in camera, but we'll see. All right, so let's turn this sideways because I find that's the easiest. Again, you want a thin, flexible tool like this. You don't want it to be really sharp because you don't want to end up cutting through this stuff. Even though this thing is dull, there are some times where I've like nicked it a little bit. Usually it's while I'm like sliding it that way. You kind of want to go straight through this way. Okay, so this tool, I've been using it so much for prying stuff and things like that, so it actually now has a bend in it. So it helps to have the bend so when you scrape, it goes under the battery like this, okay? If you have the tool like this, then it will scrape under the battery. You don't want that, and that can damage it. So if you have a tool and there's a slight bend in it, make sure that it's scraping under the battery, not up into the battery, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get the battery out. Let me zoom in actually. Okay, so we're gonna start from this side like this, and then we're just going to get underneath the battery like this, okay? And I don't know what's going on. I think these might have been previously worked on because the adhesive underneath is different on each, or maybe it's just Apple. Maybe the employees have different tape. I don't know what's going on. All right, so we're just gonna keep going down, and we're just cutting through this pack first, the adhesive on that pack first, and then after that we'll work on that one, okay? So just keep working your way down, just like this, okay? And we'll clean up the adhesive underneath afterwards. Okay, you can see some of the adhesive is coming out. Keep working our way down. Okay, you don't want to use a hard, rigid thing like a knife. I've had some people use like actual knives, and then they cut the battery, and then you can actually risk having a fire. Some people I've heard will use like floss. They somehow get the floss under, and then I guess they can pull it this way. But I don't know how they do that because the adhesive is so hard that I don't know. Maybe if you combine it with some rubbing alcohol or something, it might work. I don't know. If you want to see how people do that, you can probably look up MacBook floss or something. I don't know. Okay, so there we go. We got that pack up. Now we're going to go ahead and go underneath this way. I don't know where you can get this exact tool, but I found something very similar. This one will work as well. It's a bit thicker, so it's not as flexible. And then it's not as thin, so I just filed it down to make it really thin. If you need links to any of these tools, just let me know, and I will share those links with you, okay? But, yeah, all right, let's go ahead and continue this. And doing this is painful too. I have a broken right clavicle that's still in the process of healing. It broke about a month ago, and doing this is somewhat painful. It's healed up mostly. I can carry stuff slightly again. I don't know if I'm probably not supposed to, but I've been doing it, and yeah, but doing this, I don't know, it kind of gives it a little pain. I've done, now this is the third one, so hopefully it doesn't give out on me. Jeez, why is this pack so much more difficult to remove than the other ones? The adhesive is like extra goopy. Maybe it's because there's all this junk stuck to my scraping tool. Okay, we're going to continue going. Continue going down the line. Come on. Oh God, why is it so difficult? There we go. Yeah, I think it's like sticking to the tool. God. Might have to clean the tool off or something. It's getting too difficult here. All right, last bit. I missed some. There we go. Okay, so we got that one out. Now we're gonna move over this way. For me, it's easier to push through with my left arm. Whatever works for you. If you're right-handed, it might be easier for you to do it the other way. I'm left-handed. So I'm gonna slide this up. Let me move some stuff out of the way. Okay, and then we're gonna continue down this side. Same thing. Jeez. Okay. It's also pretty warm today, so kind of sucks doing this kind of Working your way down the battery pack, or up, or to the side, or whatever you want to call it. Okay. So much of this adhesive residue. I have a feeling this adhesive is going to be a pain to remove, not like the other ones. Whew, it's tiring stuff. Okay. Alright, last bit. Clicking into the battery with my fingernails. Okay, I think that's up. Yep. Okay, let's go back to the next one. I don't know what's going on with this side. There's like some orange stuff up there on the edge. Looks kind of like rust or something, but I don't know. I don't know, because it's aluminum. Aluminum wouldn't rust orange like that, so it's kind of weird. Okay. Okay. Work our way down. It's getting easier for some reason. There we go. Alright, that one's out. Now let's rotate this, and we're going to scrape under here. You want to be careful when scraping under here. Let me see if I can show this. I have to be careful because the motherboard screws are all out. But you want to be careful because there are these holes under here, and you don't want the tool to get into this hole and then poke into the screen, so you want to be careful, okay? One way to kind of avoid that is to do it a little slightly diagonal. But yeah, all right, actually it's going to be easier for me to do it this way. So let's see here. Let me clean out the tool a little bit. It has a bunch of stuff stuck to it that's making it difficult. All right, let's go ahead and do this. Get underneath. And we're going to do the same thing. Just scrape under there. Okay. Going along the edge, just like that. Okay. Use my body to help hold the MacBook in place. Okay. Okay. Go. Getting there. There's a giant hole here, so I have to be careful with that. I'm going to go slightly at an angle. Oh my god. Alright, let's pull this back out. Go this way. It's almost there. Okay, let's go edge here. Jeez. There we go. Okay. Last pack to pry out or scrape out. Okay. Oh man. There we go. Here. some here, so let's go back in. There we go. All right, continue going down. We're almost there. Oh, whoa, ooh. I think that one went through that hole that I was talking about. Again, you want to be careful. Okay, screen looks okay. You have to be careful with that. That one's there. So I'm going to go more at an angle like this. Man, it keeps going that direction. Let's go further over to the side. There we go. And the last bit. Sorry, I'm going out of view. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and pull this old battery out. So now's where we use the popsicle sticks. Okay, again, you can probably use toothpicks or something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get underneath here using my fingernail again, and we're just lifting this up. And what you're going to want to do, if you can also lift from this side wherever you can grab. And we're just lifting this so that we can get the popsicle stick underneath here. Okay. So it kind of helps. You can just get a tiny bit of it in so that it's lifted up like that. We're going to go ahead and go to this side and do the same thing. We're going to get it underneath here. Okay. Right there next to this cable here. All right, now that we got that, we're going to lift the battery up. Okay. All right. And then you're going to slowly pull it out. The cable here goes underneath the motherboard, so we need to lift that up and over that little ledge there. Okay, just like that. There we go. So we got the battery out. Okay, I'm gonna set that battery aside. And then to be safe, we're going to take these pieces out so you don't accidentally damage the motherboard while we're doing this. Okay, because if you accidentally hit the motherboard and put pressure and those things are there, you can cause some damage. All right, now what we're going to do, we're going to use this scraping tool and we're going to try and get this adhesive out. Usually once you get an edge lifted, you can go ahead and peel it up. Okay, so let's see here. Yep. So once you get an edge up, you can get this out. If you're lucky, more of this remained intact. The more of that remained intact, the easier it is to peel this stuff out. Okay, so here you can see, can peel it, but because we cut through some of it with the scraping tool, it doesn't peel completely off, so we're gonna have to slowly peel this out like this. Okay, and then eventually I'm gonna come in and clean out the residue using rubbing alcohol. That's what the rubbing alcohol and paper towels are for. Okay, get all this stuff out. Just like this. Slowly peel that out. Okay, and you don't want to peel it too quickly, because if you peel too quick, then it's a lot more likely that it's just going to tear. Okay, and then it's going to have to be peeled up in more pieces. So kind of want to try and keep it all together in one piece if you can. All right, let's rotate this. And let's go ahead and scrape this out. There we go. That might be a pain to clean up. All right. Continue working our way over. That, peel that up. Here we go. So here you can see this side came out pretty clean, but these got some residue behind. Let's go ahead and try and peel up these. On one of them, these peeled up nicely. On the other one, they just shredded up. So, okay, this one has the nice peelable adhesive. Nice, this one's coming out okay. Sadly, it tore over there. Cleaning this up is going to be somewhat of a pain. There's a lot of leftover residue here. Peel all this up. There we go. There we go. All right, so now let's clean up the residue here. Okay, so we're going to use rubbing alcohol, paper towel, and also the scrapey tool helps. Okay. So when there's kind of a lot of this residue here, what I find helpful is I kind of block this so that it doesn't get all over the speaker, and then I put a little bit here. I have a spray bottle, but you can use like the regular ones that you just pour it out. Okay, so basically just going to try and get the rubbing alcohol with the scrapey tool, and the rubbing alcohol helps dissolve that residue, and it helps it get scraped up easier. Okay. So like this. And now we've got mostly residue out. There's still some there, so I need to scrape this stuff around. Okay. Now we're going to try and wipe that stuff off. That sticky gunk. Just like that. And clean it all up. There we go. Might have to use a clean side, spray a little bit of the rubbing alcohol directly on there, and then use that to wipe up the residue here. Just like that. Okay, looks good. Let's go to the other side here. Gonna do the same thing. This one doesn't have that much, so hopefully it can come out pretty easily. Up here doesn't really have anything, but we'll clean it with the paper towel. Okay. Alright, let's get a new piece of paper towel because that one's getting too much of the sticky residue in it. Okay, and we'll just use that to clean this all up. There we go. Got that side pretty nice and clean. Gonna go back over here and clean up the little residue as well. You don't need to get it 100% perfect, but I like to try and get it as good as possible. Alright, this side, there's these holes in it, so I can't just spray a bunch of the rubbing alcohol in it, which sucks. So what I have to do is just get a bunch on the paper towel, and then I have to lightly wipe it, because if I press too hard, it will squeeze the rubbing alcohol out and go onto the screen. Rubbing alcohol won't really affect the screen much, but if it gets in the edges of it, then that can actually cause some bright spots in the screen temporarily, and it takes a long time for it to dry up completely. So you kind of want to avoid it if you can, of course. There's also a liquid detection sticker there, so you want to kind of avoid that when cleaning it. Okay, most of this came out pretty nicely. There's still a little bit there. Alright, we need a new paper towel. I need to soak it some more. Get it on here. This part is a little bit tough. So if there's like some tough adhesive, it helps to kind of scrape it up a bit, and then that helps get the rubbing alcohol underneath, and then you can just continue kind of wiping it. It takes a little elbow grease, just keep working on it, and it will eventually all wipe off. Just make sure that you have rubbing alcohol on it. That will help dissolve the adhesive, and if you keep rubbing at it, it's going to eventually get all completely cleared up. Okay, just like that. Alright, I think we're pretty good there. I'm going to get one more, and then we're just going to kind of wipe up the residue with a little bit more of rubbing alcohol. Alright, again, it doesn't need to be completely perfect. There's going to always remain some slight swirl marks. You can't really do anything to get them out completely. Or maybe you can, I don't know. Might have to use like water or something, but should be good. All right, I have this air blower I use sometimes to help dry it a little bit quicker. Not really necessary, but there we go. All right, let's go ahead and start putting the adhesive now. So we're going to put the adhesive back in here. So I was doing a test to see how much explaining adds to the time it takes for me to record these kinds of things. So the other video took me about 50 minutes to do. When I first did this, it took me about an hour and a half. Okay. This one, we'll see how long it takes. I don't think the talking part adds too much, but kind of having to point it out adds a little bit of extra time. Okay. Stick this here. So I'm sticking the adhesive on here. You can stick it to the battery first if you want, but I found that this is a little bit easier. Technically, you don't need this much adhesive. This adhesive I'm using is pretty strong, so technically you don't need that much, but I'm just putting it back kind of how it was before. Stick on there, please. Okay. Again, some of the batteries will come with the adhesive already on it, so you might not have to worry about adding adhesive to this thing. Okay, So normally they would use a foam adhesive, but I'm using an acrylic adhesive. I don't know where to get that kind of foam adhesive that Apple uses. Alright, so there we go. Oh wait, we're still going to have to put adhesive on the battery side, so. Okay, just like that. Alright, so we got that. Let's go ahead and grab the battery, and we're going to apply adhesive on there as well. Okay. So you got the battery. It came like this. Not every battery will come like this. I've never seen one with this little support thing here. But that's how it came. The customer brought these batteries. I didn't buy them, so I'm just using what they gave me. Okay. So if you're wondering what brand battery this is and stuff, I don't know. Usually I go based on Amazon. If you need help finding a battery, I can actually send you a link for that as well. Whoever's gonna have to take this out in the future is gonna, I don't know, it's gonna be pretty tough. Might end up me, we'll see. Alright, I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. I put it this way because this sticker's here, so I kind of didn't want to cover that sticker. If you don't really care, you can just cover the sticker, it doesn't matter. Okay. That's all the adhesive we'll need. Scissors away. Alright, let's peel up all the protective parts for the tape. Alright. That. Alright, let's peel up the stuff from this side as well. Go. Alright, off all that stuff. Get stuck to my fingers, get off. Okay, I don't know what that stuff is, but it holds a lot of static, so you want to be careful. Okay. Alright, now let's go ahead and install the battery. We're going to have to use the popsicle sticks again. Okay, so go ahead and lift that back up. Can use the part where the battery goes in to help with that. Alright, lift that up. And then get the popsicle stick over that edge there. Okay. On the other side, same thing. Lift it up and get that popsicle stick in there. Okay, there we go. So now we're going to flip the battery. You want to be very careful that you don't get this edge of the battery underneath the motherboard. It needs to stay outside over here. So on the first one I did, I wasn't paying too much attention, and then I slightly went under. It was a little bit difficult to pull it back, especially with all the adhesive. So to make this a little bit easier, I'm holding here the adhesive. And you want to be careful not to let the adhesive sit down until it's in the right spot. So we have to carefully get this wire here over this whole bar. So you want to be very careful, because if you accidentally let the adhesive set down while you're doing that, then you're not going to be able to remove it and you might damage the battery. So it helps to kind of do this diagonally at an angle like this, okay? That way you can get the board, as you can see, the little circuit board in the center is stuck down first, and then slowly get the rest of it over. All right, slowly make sure the wire goes over, slightly make sure it's centered, okay? Then you can kind of pull it towards yourself to make sure that that wire doesn't go underneath that I was talking about earlier. Slowly let it rotate downwards, okay? And there we go. Again, slightly pulling it towards yourself. This one's, there we go. And there we go. All right, then drop that down. You can get all of that. Let's go ahead and pull these popsicle sticks out and let the motherboard drop down. There we go. As you can see, it's sitting down flat. That's good. Now we're going to peel this off. You want to slowly, carefully peel this up. Okay. I'm going to transfer these blue things back over just so I can stick it on the old battery. Okay. Just like this. And this is what I did with all three of them. Alright, peel that blue thing up and then stick that over there. And we're going to stick this on the old battery later, so that's just to kind of keep the old battery intact. You don't need to do that, but I don't know. Okay. The last one. Alright. Let's set this blue thing aside. I'll worry about sticking that on the old battery later. Okay. Alright, so we got the battery all pushed in place. I don't know why this one's just sticking up like that. Sometimes when you get the batteries, they're just weird like that. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and put back all the screws and reattach all the connectors. Okay, so I like to actually put the motherboard screws back in first, but you can do it in whatever order. The only thing is you want to wait to reconnect the battery connectors until after everything else is reconnected. Alright, so since I already have the T3 or Torx 3, let's go ahead and do the Torx 3 stuff first. So let's go ahead and snap these connectors in. So we'll get that charge port, this one. You kind of have to push it a little bit that way if it doesn't go in right, okay? At least that's what I found. But try and get it lined up and then just push it down. You don't want to try and force it down if it's not lining up. All right, let's go ahead and get this connector in place. Is this seating right? Okay. Go. Sorry, I went a little bit out of view. I had to hold it up to see what I was doing. Okay, so we got all of those, and then, yeah. All right, let's go ahead and let's actually get the trackpad. Again, you want to be careful. Make sure to double check all the washers are there before we go ahead and put this back. We're going to open up the screen. Okay, you want to hold this up slowly. While you're holding on to it, get the connector up and in there. Okay, I'm actually going to put a couple T5 screws first because this requires it to work properly. So we're going to slowly get this trackpad into place. Okay, you want to gently lift it up because if you let it like slam up, all those little washers are going to fly out everywhere, and then they're going to be loose rolling around under here. You want to be very careful. If you do that, you can end up damaging a lot of things. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to get this corner screw up here first. Okay, again, these can be a little bit tricky. Get that one, and then we're going to get the other opposite corner end in. Okay, all the way down here. Once we get those two in, you can let go of the trackpad, but make sure you're holding the bottom up, and then slowly lower this down. Okay, you don't want to tighten those screws in yet. You can loosen it if you want. If you tightened it already, you can loosen that. We're going to get all these screws in, but we're not going to tighten them all the way down yet, and I'll show you why real soon. Let's get all these screws in. Okay, so we're just loosely fitting these screws right now. You don't want to tighten them all the way down. Again, I'll show you once I get all these screws in why that is. Okay. Alright, so now you see all these screws are in, and let me show you why it's important not to tighten them. So here you can see if I get one screw in here, or screwdriver in here, you can see this whole trackpad can move around. So the reason we didn't tighten all the screws, we have to make sure the trackpad's aligned. So we're going to get this connector in first. Okay, just get that in. Alright. So now what I like to do is I like to take the bottom cover here, okay, and then we're just going to snap on one side. We're not going to slide in the little clips or anything. We're just going to get the case kind of lined up, and then we're just going to snap one side in. Did that come in? Okay, and the purpose of that is just to hold the cover down so that we can flip this thing over. Okay. Once we have it flipped over, let's open it up. Okay, and then we're going to use 2 pieces of tape for this. Okay, so I've already done this, but basically you fold over a little tab so that you can easily peel it back up, and we're going to stick the tape on there. Okay, so here you can see the whole trackpad's moving all over the place. Okay, so I have 2 pieces of tape to do this. So you get the tape on there, and then you want to center this as the best you can. All right, so you can see it can move left, right, up, and down. So I like to pull it all the way up and then slightly move it down halfway, and then you can tape that down and then do the same thing with the other side. Okay, once you get it taped in place, you want to pick it up and then you want to look at it straight forward and see if it looks lined up evenly for you. It looks a little bit too far down, so I'm going to pick it back up and then slide it back up a tiny bit. Just like that. Same thing with the other side. There we go. Alright, we'll check it one more time. Alright, looks good to me. Alright, so maybe it actually needs to move a little over to the right. There we go. I think that's about it. Okay, there we go. Alright, so now that it's centered, we're going to flip this back over. Alright, close this up. Flip it back over. Then we're going to pop the cover back off. Same thing, just get underneath and pop that out just like before. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and tighten down all these screws. Okay, using the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. Okay, if you want, you can do this corner first and then this corner just to make sure it doesn't move around while we're tightening down all the screws. and then we can go ahead and tighten all the rest of the screws. Okay, just like this. Again, I don't know why this part is kind of sticking up, but we can push it down kind of. The cover will kind of help hold it down. All right, let's go ahead and get all these screws tightened up. Alright, so now we got all the trackpad screws back in. Okay, then I like to line up this cable and try and get it more straightened out. So what you can do, you can pop this connector back out if you want. Okay, just like this, and then we're gonna slowly peel this back up again. Right, I'm gonna hold up this part so it doesn't stick back down yet. Try and get the adhesive. There we go. So now that that's in, I'm gonna follow this down and then follow this all the way. There we go. So now that's held in place the way, so it's completely not really leaning to one side or the other. Okay. Since I have the T5 screwdriver already in, I'm gonna go ahead and put back all the T5 or Torx 5 screws. So let's go ahead and put this motherboard screw in. Right, next one over. Okay, next one over. Next one over. I want to make sure the screws go in nice and straight. If it goes crooked, you can damage the screw mount and then the screw might not stay. Alright, or it will be not working too well the next time. Alright, so we'll get this screw over here on the side. Look at the second screw here. Again, this screw here is a T3, so we're going to skip that one for now. And we're going to put the one all the way over here. Alright, just so we don't have to switch back and forth too much, I'm going to go ahead and put the battery screw in as well. I'm just going to loosely fit that there though. Okay, oops, we need to find the screw mount here. Let me see. Make sure that lines up with the screw mount. It's a little bit difficult to tell where it is. Okay, I might have to, let's see. Looks like that should be right, so I don't know why it's being weird. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I just loosely fit that because later I'm probably gonna have to maneuver that around. Let's go ahead and switch to the T3 or Torx 3 screwdriver and put back all the little covers there, all right? So we're gonna get, it helps to get one screw on there first, get the little cover here, get that, use that to help maneuver it, and then you can get that screw in. Oops. In place. There we go. All right, second screw here. Go and tighten this one in place. All right, now we're going to go ahead and put this little cover back on. Okay, I'm going to again use that to help hold it. Kind of helps a little bit. Right, and I loosely fit the screws first, and then after that I can use that to help guide that. There we go. And then that one down. There we go. Let's go ahead and get the USB-C charge port covers back in as well. Why is this one messed up like the other one? Oh, no, it's not. Okay. First one I did, that screw, it would keep spinning forever. I don't know. So this one is okay. I was a little worried there. Okay. Let's go ahead and do this side now. All lined up. Take that down. All right. That one in. All right, now let's get in the last few T3 screws. One here in this corner. Okay, other one in this corner. This is nearly a full motherboard removal video if I were to take these little covers off and then remove those connectors and also remove that LCD cable. All right, last little screw in the middle. Wait, what's going on? Okay. There we go. All right, we're done with the T3 screwdriver. I'm going to switch back to the T5. Let's go ahead and reconnect all the rest of the connectors. I'm going to zoom in so you can see better. Okay, same thing. Get that underneath. Okay, and then you can use the little adhesive tab to help pull that back in. Oops. Oh, that was weird. It kind of latched itself. Okay, pull that in. Slide your finger over the top to latch it back down and then put the adhesive tape back in. All right, same thing with the fan connector. Get that in. Okay, make sure it's pulled in all the way. Slide your finger over the top. All right, and then flip that back over. Same thing with the speaker connector. Get that in. Slide it over. Flip your latch down with your finger. Like that. Okay. This connector, oops, sorry, did you even see that one? Oops, okay, you didn't even see that one. So this one, make sure this latch, again, same thing, slide it over. I mean, you know the drill. So that came out, just get that in, okay. And pull that over, and then slide your finger over, put that latch down. This one's a little bit tricky because the adhesive sticks to the connector, so you have to separate the two pieces first. Okay, just like that. Make sure the latch is up. Get the connector in. Okay. Make sure it goes in. There we go. Pull that thing to hold it to get the cable in all the way. Flip the latch down. Looks good. Double check, make sure it looks good. Okay, put the adhesive back down. Let's work our way over to this side. We got this fan. Same thing, get the connector in, pull that over, slide your finger over, put the tape down. You can stick that tape as well. Okay, let's go over to this side. This speaker, same thing. Get it in, use the tab to pull it over, slide your finger over the top, tape it down. Same thing with this connector, which I'm not sure what it is. Get that in, slide your finger over to latch it down, tape it down. Okay, and the last one here, get that connector in, slide that over. Oops, make sure you're holding it over, slide your finger over. You can tell, usually these gold ones, they have a little bit of the gold showing, the gold pins. There we go. We're going to tape this back down as well. Okay, hopefully you were able to see all the connectors I did. All right, now let's go ahead and get the last screw here. So this one, we're going to use the T5 or Torx 5. What I like to do is I like to push this tab down, and here you can see the gold is more showing on this side, so you want to actually, if you can, slide it over to the left a little bit. Okay, then we're going to tighten this screw down. Okay, it will never be completely centered. I found there's always like one side showing a little bit more, but try and get it as centered as you can. And then we'll get this screw in, okay. Tighten that in place. Okay, now you want to be careful because now there's power going to the board. So you don't want to drop anything metal here and risk damaging the computer, all right? So we're going to go ahead and put this cable back. The springy side is more towards this little side in case you accidentally flipped it over and got mixed up. So let's go ahead and get this connector in. Okay, it's a little bit tricky. I mean, you won't be able to see it well in the video because my hand's blocking the way, of course, but hopefully you get the idea. Once you get it in, use that tab, same thing, pull it over, and then slide your finger over the latch to lock it in. Oops, it's hard to do this. Hold that over, slide your finger, there we go. That's latched in, put the adhesive over the top. All right, let's get the last connector in. Lined up, pull that in. All right, while you're pulling it in place, slide your finger over the top to latch it down and put that last piece of adhesive. Now we'll put this little battery board cover in place. Okay, line it up with the part here. The easiest way to line it up is actually this little wavy cut piece here. So if you get that lined up, and then you just drop it in place and then push this down. There we go. So we got everything reconnected. Let's go ahead and put the bottom cover on. If you want, you can test it first before you put the bottom cover on. So just be careful. I like to test it by doing this. So you can open up the screen and have it with the keyboard facing up so that the bottom's not touching anything. And then we can go ahead and plug this in. Usually you'll know it works if the trackpad starts clicking. Excuse me. So if I try and click it, so I can feel it's clicking right now. Okay. So we should be good. Okay. Oh, let's go ahead and peel this tape off, of course. That's probably why it wasn't clicking completely. There you go. You can see the Apple logo, so should be good to go. I like to do a Pram reset after this, so I'm going to do that real quick after I put the cover back on. So let me let this boot up all the way, and then I'm going to shut it down, and then we're going to put the cover back on. Come on. Okay. Oh, there's no installation on here, so let's go ahead and turn this off completely. I'm just holding the power button to shut it off since there's no shutdown button. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and put the cover back on. Okay, so the cover goes on. You have to put it at an angle. So same way opposite we removed it, up at an angle like this. Okay, line up these edges here on both sides. It helps again to do it kind of like before. We're going to do it at an angle. So we're doing one side first like this. Okay, you want to make sure to put pressure down here to make sure the clips go underneath. Then we're going to go to the other side, same thing, make sure this is all lined up, and then slide it up into place. And then we're going to go ahead, go on here, slide that, make sure both sides are flush. You want to check the top here and then the sides here. Looks good. Let's go ahead and clip it down, clip the middle, clip the sides. All right, and then after we get all the screws in, we're gonna, or actually let's do the Pram reset first, just so in case we have to for some reason open it back up. Plug that back in. All right, let's go ahead and do the Pram reset. So Pram reset, what you do, make sure the thing's off, then you press the power button, okay? Then while it's starting up, you hold Command Option P and R. The Apple already started, so I'm gonna have to do it again. But yeah, let me clean this off. There's some gross gunk on the screen. Okay. What's with all these like weird fingerprinty stuff on there? Clean that all off. Okay, so I'm going to shut this off completely first. Alright, so to do the Pram reset, what you do is you power it on and then immediately Command Option P and R, hold that down. The Apple logo should come on and then it should flash back off. Or you should see the screen come on and flash off. We'll see if this one works. For some reason the other one didn't. Okay, so there you saw the Apple logo was on, and then it just flashed off. So we're gonna just wait now. It should turn itself back on, and that's how you know you did the Pram reset properly. Okay, after that, we're just gonna put back the screws, and we're pretty much done. So hopefully this video helped you guys. If it did, make sure to like and subscribe so that other people can find my videos. And if this video helped you save a bunch of money, again, please consider contributing to the channel. It really helps out. And thank you for watching. You're welcome to stay while I put back these screws. But that's pretty much it. We're going to check, make sure the battery works. Let's unplug it while it's still on. And yep, we're good. The other battery was, even when plugged in, was just showing the low battery signal for symbol forever with the red low battery. But anyways, there we go. Let's go ahead and shut this off. Alright, so let's go ahead and put back the screws. After that, I'll clean off the thing because it has smudges all over the back cover. Just use some rubbing alcohol and paper towels. Alright, again, we're switching back to the Pentalobe 1.2 or P5 screwdriver. And we'll put back these screws. Alright. There we go. So talking and explaining stuff does take quite a bit more time. So when I did the one without talking or saying anything, it took me like 50 minutes or so to do it. The first one I did, when it was the first time even seeing it, it took me about an hour and a half. So now with talking, explaining through things, it's taking about an hour and 16-17 minutes. So an extra 27-ish minutes to kind of explain and talk about what's going on. Alright, let's go ahead and clean this off. Hopefully you guys appreciate the explanations because it does take extra time and effort to go through. Alright, clean off that adhesive junk. There we go. And we're good to go. Alright. Again, hopefully this video helped you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Alright, let's drop this. Bye.